The technology starts being used, and the people who start using it realize that the old ways of doing things are no good, and they have to invent new ways. It is very common that new technologies are invented by young people, generally. So young people are more capable of seeing what's wrong with society, just like the hippies could say, you know, we don't want consumerism, we don't want this. There is this capacity to recognize the obstacles, which people who have lived with them are almost impervious. You know, you don't see it because you've lived with it. So these young people who are doing the new technologies, who come into this new world, and who are creating this new little world and find that everything around them is an obstacle, they start changing practices, organizational things, ways of looking, everything. So I would say that the paradigm becomes an entity that you can recognize and that you can describe the way I always do, you know, before and after, before and after. You can make dozens of lists about how you innovate, about markets, about organization, and everybody does. I mean, there are so many lists of before and after. But they only began around the 80s, this time. And the same before, even though it's not so easy to find who were the ones who were doing the job. Of course, the tailorists were doing it in the mass production era, but before that it was the engineers, some people. There are some nice stories about how the paradigm spread in past surges. But the main thing is that you need the technology to have gone a bit before you get the paradigm. But when the paradigm comes in, it's as if suddenly the floodgates were open, and then everybody that's in the know, I mean, anybody who's related to the technology suddenly understands all the possibilities. By the time frenzy takes hold, the new common sense is there. In the 1920s, everybody understood mass production. In 1908, 1910, 1912, no. It wasn't yet understood as a paradigm. So a paradigm becomes the common sense of society and the common language of engineers, managers, entrepreneurs, financiers, and consumers after a while. But when it becomes common sense, the paradigm is fully there. So that if you drew a curve of the potential of the technology, supposing it's this one, then in this low part, the paradigm is even lower. You know, it's just hardly existing. In fact, the paradigm at that time is the previous paradigm. That's the one that's there. But by the time the technology takes off, the paradigm shoots up. And then you have the whole, you can see the potential. Everything, even to further, you can see a lot. And it grows much more slowly afterwards. So the logic, the common sense, already warns you which way you can go far before you've done it.